Stacy. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good and I'm very excited. Thank you so much for joining. It has really been an epic conversation. To start, first of all, we had just a discussion, a kind of a backstory around why I wanted to create this evening series and make it a little bit separate from the original series that from the series that we had yesterday. So yesterday was very much about, hard knocks life. I figure it out as I go. I come up with my own solutions. Tonight is about tools and resources from experts that are in the space of either being a therapist or being a coach, and are in the space of really providing actual tools that people can use during this time in particular. One of the things that I shared was around my journey with mental health and my resistance to therapy. And I also talked about not really getting access to coaching until 2013, which is when it was actually executive coaching. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on, because I know that this is your area of expertise, and that you have spent most of your life working with corporates, working with executives, and may have during that time seen persons who have gotten ill, have unhealthy work habits, even just how they show up in the office. And through the method of coaching that you use, you're able to support persons in that space. And all of us that are on this live are working individuals for the most part, whether it is you're a solopreneur or you're inside of a business working with a set of people. And so you have this ongoing experience of having to show up at work. And many times we're doing that and we're not taking care of ourselves. So I wanted you to join us tonight, guys. Judy is like super duper in terms of like giving you the real talk and breaking down from an authentic place, what you need to focus on in order to really level up yourself so that you can leave from a healthy place. So welcome, Judy. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi, Stace. Thanks for inviting me. I want you to know I bathed and dressed. I did my hair. I even put on shoes. I dressed up because this is a party.
Yes.
Cheers to your 10th anniversary. Cheers. It's a wonderful milestone. And of course, also to add that, like the rest of the people that I'm sure are listening, we're dying for a party. So anything that can give us a party, we're into. So, Stacy, when you invited me and asked me if I would be a part of this, and you told me what the concept was, which was an appreciation and a celebration of the 10 years since you have had your cancer. Thought to myself, and that, about overcoming adversity and so on. And I thought to myself, I haven't had any tragedy. I haven't had much adversity. And then it put me in a space of gratitude. Okay, because I'm extremely grateful for the fact that I have not had many terrible experiences in my life. As I listen to the stuff that goes around us with COVID and the kind of states that we're all in and the things that we listen to on the television and the radio and all of that, I go back to gratitude. Mm-hmm. And I go back to, in terms of having a tool, what happened to you, which I wasn't around at that point in your life, but I know about it because of our interactions and stuff at work. I've been around when you have had the anniversaries of the tests, of when it's the next one, and that tension and anxiety of whether or not this is going to be okay this year, and trying to let that go, and all of those things that go in your space. I've watched it, and all of these things that surround us, and I think about gratitude. Stacy, first of all, how grateful we all are that you went through that because of what it has taught you, which you can now teach us.
Oh, thank you, Jude.
Right? So when you look in your life at what the bad things, or when you are not prepared to look for what you can pull out of any circumstances, that keeps you down, that drags you down. So as you are aware, we have a coaching corner in our company intranet, and I was looking for like TED Talks and books and motivational things to post into the EICD 360 coaching corner, so that people can pull for resources, games that kids can play, and teaching your children through card games how to do mathematics and all kinds of stuff. And I hit upon, and I love TED Talks because it's just inspiring. And if I feel in a spot, that's where I go. And so I actually was looking around, and I found this psychologist named Susan David. And she did a TED Talk called The Gift and Power of Emotional Courage. And, you know, she said, one of the things that she talked about, which I found so interesting, is that we're all taught to think that everything's going to be okay. So you have a diagnosis of cancer, you are immediately associate cancer with death. You worry about your little kids. It throws you off. Your whole world is turned upside down in a matter of a couple of days. And then everybody says to you, darling, don't worry, it's going to be okay.
Yes.
And right?
I hate that, by the way.
Okay. So, and basically what she says is that we need to grab hold of our emotions, and we need to be able to express them. So you have fear, you need to be able to say, what am I afraid of?
Yes.
Why am I afraid?
Out loud.
Okay. So the famous one we all have is, I'm stressed. And, you know, she says, stressed about what? You are not stressed, you have a feeling of stress. So what does that feeling, that emotion of stress, why do you have it? When you look inside, what is that? Where is that coming from? Are you stressed because you're concerned about finances? Are you stressed because you're concerned? There's a reason to it. And you need to allow yourself to look in to what that reason is. Celebrate, hold up, wrap your arms around that reason, work your way through it all the way till the end before you can let it go. I found that so interesting because everybody tells you everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about it, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay.
What's interesting now, I don't know that people are saying that so much during this time.
Not so much, no.
Yes, which is, and I think it's because everybody's uncertain. And the truth is that even though everybody's uncertain, we should still be asking ourselves those same questions. So that's actually a really good point and a very good tool for everybody that's on the live. It's a very good tool to use. Even, let's say nothing else is happening in your life. Let's say you're not going through a horrible breakup. Let's say your partner or your kids aren't driving you crazy. Let's say, let's say you don't have a tragedy, you don't have a critical illness, you're not having any kind of work challenges, but you're dealing with anxiety and stress from the pandemic. And nobody's saying it's going to be okay because nobody knows. They feel uncertain. Ask yourself why you're feeling what you're feeling. So what do you do with it when you ask yourself, what do you do to answer them?
So one of the things that I say to people is, so a lot of us are concerned about our financial security in this time. So what are we doing about it? Are we just ruminating about, Lord, I worry about money, we worry about money?
Yeah.
Or are you, okay, so you have a loan at the bank, you have a motor vehicle loan, you have a mortgage, whatever it is that you have, or multiples that you have. How many of us have picked up the phone and called the institutions to find out, or our loans officer to find out what is being offered?
Yeah.
Is there any, in other words, are we going, so we worry, so we're anxious, so we're concerned. So the tool is, how do we move to do something that will help us to overcome or to address that anxiety? Or are we just sitting there worrying?
More
Because
than
sitting
likely,
there worrying ain't getting us nowhere.
yeah, I remember I really used to struggle with this around finances before pandemic drama. It was just a big, it was sort of like a big boulder that I used to carry around with me about money. Especially, I wasn't living here, right? In the States, you get bombarded with mail and collectors calling you. It's just like constant, right? And I just felt like I had this huge weight on my shoulder all the time about having enough, making enough, being able to take care of everything. And you start to hide from the stuff. It's like the bills come, you don't want to open them. The phone ring, you're looking to see who calling. You get into this anxious space, which I think a lot of us are in now because we're so worried. A lot of us don't know what
you're perfectly right in that, but also what I have found is, so many of us, many of us are not going to and from work. So we have no transportation costs.
Yes, yes.
Okay? So we're not eating out. So we have no eating out costs, or very few, because I can't remember to call the pizza place at 4 o'clock. And every time I go to college.
That's what gives me anxiety. If I need to get food before lockdown.
Right. So in our household and in many households, what we have done is we've taken this opportunity to look for recipes and decided to try recipes, right? To try different food. We're becoming very proficient at Chinese food. And so so we have a little extra money because we're buying groceries, but we're not buying food. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we doing with that extra money? That extra money we should be putting aside towards the inevitable loan that we have to pay back, or the credit card that we owe, or the whatever happens down the road, And then I think another thing that's really important for all of us is we need to think about, we need to worry. We do need to worry. It's a natural feeling, but we need to go past just the worry. We need to go, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Okay. Every single one of us are in this together. We all have support systems somewhere or another. Our lives are not shaping up this right now the way we thought it was going to be.
Yes.
There's a lot of uncertainty and concern and anxiety, but we're not alone. I think it's worse if you're alone.
Yes, it is. Which is why one of the reasons why I call it the personal pandemic is because there are individuals who are dealing with pandemic and they have their own thing that they're also dealing with. But at least you have a general norm that is unusual. And there is empathy.
It makes you feel better. It just makes you feel better, like I know you one in this.
Yes, it's not just you alone.
Everybody in there. Another thing that she also mentioned in her talk, which I just found so inspiring, was that we need to allow our children to feel anxiety. So when our kids say to us, "Mommy, I'm so worried. When will I ever go back to school? Or when I won't be able to go to," you need to let them work through that emotion. Don't tell them everything is going to be okay. Let them work through their emotions. So when,
is there a way to guide that process?
When Gabby says to you, "Mommy, I want to go to Susie's birthday and her birthday, and I can't get to go, and nobody would," and you say to her, "Okay, so Gabs, what's concerning you now? What you think this is going to be forever?"
Right.
So this is what we got to do now. Tell deep going. What's concerning? Is it concerning you that Susie won't be your friend because you can't go to her party? Are you concerned? How else can you keep in touch with Susie? If that's what her concern is can she FaceTime with Susie, or can she WhatsApp Susie, or can she, when you find out what is at the root of what is bothering your children, yourself, your loved ones, you can step out and say, okay, we've identified this. What are we stressed about? I'm not stressed about the roof over my head because I have a roof over my head, but I'm stressed about something else. So what is that I am actually stressed about? Because we have this kind of broad brush that we talk about. Oh, I'm so stressed. You know, it's almost like a catch-all.
Yes.
Stressed about, but it's an emotion about something. It's not who you are. I'm stressed is not who I am. I'm stressed about. Many of us don't identify what that about is. So we need to dig deep.
Sit with it. We just sit with
and
that.
Find out what is that. And then another thing about emotions and concern and anxiety is that when we push it away, psychologists say that when we push it away and when we hide it and we leave it aside, it becomes more intense. So because you're not addressing it. So when you address it, okay, and you help your loved ones to address it, trust me, between all of us, there's solutions.
I think that's what I was doing a lot. Why I ended up being sent to a psychiatrist is because I was literally hiding. I was actually saying to Keisha that I used to cry a lot, all the time, every day. And I just thought it was crying. I thought it was normal. And I used to hide that I would cry. So I would cry like in the morning in the shower or in the evening in the shower, or I'd lock myself in the bathroom and lay on the floor and cry and then go shower. And I wouldn't talk about it with anybody. I would have really negative thoughts, and I wouldn't tell anybody that I was feeling sad or lonely or I miss my. I wouldn't tell anybody. So I was hiding, and the more I hid it, I think it just kind of built up.
Probably the more intense you felt it.
Yeah.
Because you kept hiding. And then I think the other thing that's important is that I think there's a fair amount of stigma attached to going to a psychiatrist. Yes. I think it's becoming less and less so because statistically, depression is the single leading cause of disabilities globally, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I've never been clinically depressed. I've been depressed. We've all been depressed, but I've never been clinically depressed. And we tend to feel that if you're going to a psychiatrist, it's the next step to going into the madhouse or whatever, right? Whereas your brain is just no different to your arm or your leg. And if your arm was broken, you have a cast. So you just that you can't see what's broken in your brain. No one else can see it. Only you can see it and feel it. Mm-hmm. So why, if we go to doctors for other parts of our body, should we not go to a doctor to help us with this part, Absolutely. And so I think a lot of that stigma has kind of lifted. But I think the thing that I feel most and I found most liberating is the sense that my emotions are important. I need to feel them. I need to determine what's the trigger for me feeling that emotion. And when I've done that, I have a tool that I can move forward somehow, some way, whether it's to ask somebody for help or whether it's to other than just being by myself. And so to me, things like coaching where people are able to speak to an individual who has no, as our people like to say, skin in the game. We have nothing, no
objective,
connection, no connection with the individuals. It makes people it's easier for people to be able to express because they don't feel that you know them, so you're not judging them. And we are in a world that is full of judgment. We're judged and we judge constantly. And one of the things that we learn in coaching is that if you really want to become a fulfilled and a more fulfilled individual and have a successful life, whatever you measure that success, you need to try and put judgment aside. Okay. Yes. And it's so interesting because I always use my gray hair, right? Because my hair is, as you know, is nearly white. And I have had gray hair from I was very young. and I used to diet like everybody else. And then, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I'd never seen what it looked like. And I was really nosy to find out what it looked like. And then I thought to myself, you know what? To hell with this hair dye. It never looked good anyway, because I always had this reddish tinge to it. And I hated it. And so I let it go. And the interesting thing for me is how people judge me because my hair is gray, and how I am constantly in a battle to not judge myself.
Oh, wow.
Because gray hair connotes old age.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be old. I don't want people to think of me as old. I want to be a hot young thing, right? And so what I've had to realize is that my value and what makes me me and what makes me people love me is what's here, not what's. But it's not easy because we are bombarded, particularly when we're influenced by North America. I find that Europe doesn't have as much. If you watch BBC News, for example, everybody on American television is young and pretty. Why?
Yes,
they don't have no ugly people.
Well, maybe on the
very few. I mean, you know, if you're going, here we are judging. But what I'm saying is that there is this kind of standard where you're expected to have a certain youthful look.
Yeah.
I don't know white people on the TV. You say no white people on the TV.
Oh, that's true.
Okay. I mean, I see the men, you know, I see men, but not many women, many women. And so why is there a double standard, you know? I mean, the governor of California has this gorgeous gray streaked hair and he looks adorable. But I don't see any of the other, all the women have, Mrs. Pelosi's hair is like, you know, like she's 12. Anyway, but all of that to say is that we are bombarded with these kinds of measurements and judgments. And if we can pull away from those judgments, and you, I'm sure, part of your depression was the judgment that you're scarred.
Oh my God, my body, oh my gosh. I mean, even after all the surgeries and everything, and I think that was part of the vulnerability of this book, because that was a huge healing process for me. It was putting pictures in the book, because it was a big deal to step into that discomfort and challenge myself about my self-acceptance. There was a lot of self-loathing early on, and I wouldn't look at myself in the mirror. I mean, it was just, yeah.
And so, and we all have that in different forms. We don't have to have had cancer to have that.
Yes.
It'll happen as you age.
Yes.
Where you see yourself getting older, and your skin is not as you know, taut as it was, and yes, and you're not as perky, and you're, you know, and you. It's not even so much what others judge. It's you. It's me. I keep having to, you know, I keep leaning into that, and then I have to push myself back and say, that's not the value of who I am. That's not the value of who I am. I am more than what that shows. I'm more than the picture. I'm more than some of the pictures look good all the way. So I just say that the thing I think that is most important is to address what that emotion that we are feeling. Don't hide it.
Yes.
Don't suppress it.
Yes.
Look at it. Identify what it is. Ask yourself, what am I crying about? What am I hurting about? You know, if I've had a romantic tragedy in my life where my loved one, my partner betrays me, goes away, whatever, all the things that happen. Why am I crying? Am I crying because I'm no longer a whole person? Because the person that I had a partnership with has left? What am I crying for? What am I upset about? What am I, you know, whatever. I think that is, if we can identify those things in our worlds, we are able to move on.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think that if we do, you know, if we get bogged down in feeling that, oh, everything should feel okay, you know, some of us are going to get cancer. Some of us are going to die. We're all going to die, actually. You know, every one of us. And some of us, and even then, you know, why we don't address death. We don't talk about dying. You know, we're afraid of it. And we're afraid of it because we're afraid of the unknown.
Yeah, we don't know what happens.
So I want to say, this about what I learned in coaching, and the coaching discipline that I learned, which is energy.
Mm-hmm.
And Einstein's theory.
While you're telling us about that.
So Einstein's theory is that all matter is not matter, is energy. Everything we see, touch, taste, hold, whatever, is energy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now we know from our science in school that energy cannot be created or destroyed. So when we die, our energy is somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, that's
no, I love that.
That's pretty good. I've never actually thought about that. Thought about it that way, or heard it said that way.
Right. So as you know, my mother, who I adored and was my heartstring, died 2-3 years ago now. And when I learned that her energy is, I don't know where, but it's somewhere, that she's not just gone into the ground and rot, and that's the end of that. I now what I need to figure out is how can I connect to that energy. That's another course.
Yeah. Oh,
but
wow.
our energy is going to be somewhere, and I think that people call that the soul. If you're religious, that your soul doesn't die, your soul continues.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people in this world who can sense the energy of other people. I don't have that capacity, but it's something I would love. But I think to close off, Stace, is to say that embrace our emotions, embrace our sadness, embrace our pain, embrace our anxiety, our stress, and dig into it and say, what is it? What's pushing that emotion? And then reach out.
That's really good. Sonia, can you say hi? Hi,
Sonia.
On. Hi, Sonia.
Love it.
And she will be, so what I would like you to do again is in the comments, just put beside the coach's name something that you learned from the session, and you will be qualified for one of the amazing coaching sessions that Judy will be contributing.
I'd love it. As you know, I think this is just coaching is just, I've seen so many people have things, aha moments out of it.
Yes.
So Stace,
cheers.
Cheers to you. Thanks for doing this, and every success and happiness and fulfillment in your life.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Judy, and thank you for joining. Thank you very much.
Take care.